Yeah, buddy.
Play these boards.
Now, tell you what, they'll be the first test when we get this done. Deal?
Okay.
Will you please go inside and go potty?
No.
This is my very old, well, heck, it's not even mine. I've been borrowing it from my father for a decade. Makita 2012 planer. It uses a 12.5-inch cutter head, and it's what I use for about 99% of the planing, because the big Rockwell downstairs, it frightens me a little. It uses this disposable cutter knife. They're nice in that there's really no setting them. They just clamp in along this edge here, and they can be flipped once.
Where's my sword?
It has this neat little device here, which I totally forgot till it just locked, to actually lock the cutter head in place so you can proceed to crack those bolts right there. You're not supposed to sharpen these, but I'm here to tell you can. I'm not going to claim you can get it back to brand new condition. There's not enough meat there to remove, to even take out the nicks. But you can put a whole new edge on there, and I've found you can usually get away with it twice, maybe a third time. Probably not 3 times. Depends on how clean the wood you use. But you can get away with it twice, even though you're not supposed to. Now on this one, it uses the wonderful size of 9 millimeters. So that's kind of a pain in the butt. And I have no idea how, say, a DeWalt handles the same deal, same blade clamping mechanism. It's probably not that much different. They've all got to be about the same. And their blades, because I've seen them in the stores, they all look about the same. Did you? Alright, we'll go look for it in a sec. So here's what the blades actually look like. And you can't see this in the camera, but I can tell that I've already actually planed this. Looks like I've sharpened this, but not flipped it. That's okay. We'll do it again. These blades are at the point where they're just... This is really it. This is really it. But that's the groove that it clamps down onto. And the blades are a 29 what is it? 2959 or a 4629. But I've always looked them up by Makita 2012. Let's get the other side out. This is a pretty straightforward deal. Here is the blade, and I've put a little oil on my diamond stone, and I've taken it out of its holder. And I'm just going to go flat on the workstation and go back and forth. You might have to put a finger on one end so you don't have to chase it around too much. And obviously just flip those ends. Try to get the same amount of grinding on both sides. The reason I do it loose is so that if I tip my stone, rather than cutting one side deeper than the other, it just rocks the whole blade. You're not talking about super high precision NASA work here. You're talking about putting a new cutting edge on a blade that was never designed to be sharpened in the first place.
Does it cut the bark off? Does it cut the bark off, Daddy?
Daddy will. But you're going to have to wait until Daddy is done here.
Daddy. Daddy.
Huh?
Please cut this bark off too and cut this one, rub it, and cut this one down. So we can make a project.
We can't. But once again, you're going to have to wait until I'm done. So, comparing this one to the other one, there's a pretty profound difference. These edges, they just feel dull. Whereas these edges, much better. But unfortunately, like I previously alluded to, there is no way you are going to grind nicks out. Now these aren't too bad. There's a chip out right there, and there's a chip out right here. These have seen a lot of use. To be quite honest, a fair bit of abuse as well. A nick or two is to be expected. Be careful. They could be, well, they should be, sharp. I'm not going to make any attempt to regrind this at all. Not even in the slightest. Not even going to touch them. So what we're going to do is we're just going to sharpen these, I don't know, like a Japanese plane. We're just going to take meat off the bottom. So that was my coarse. This is my fine. Same process, just slower. Putting them back in is the reverse. Lift up the clamp, drop it inside a few times. Fish it out with a pencil. I don't know if this is an important step, but it is one that I seem to use most every time. Now the key to success here is making sure that the blade is sitting in its clamps. There is a little bit of side-to-side wiggle room. Dang it, it just slipped out of the clamp. And so what I will generally do is fudge one blade a little bit that way and one blade a little bit the other way. Not only does that widen your cutting area just slightly, it offsets any nicks, with the hopes that where one blade isn't cutting because it's nicked, the other one's picking up the slack. Start in the middle, work your way out, you just tighten it a little bit, go back to the middle, and one last time. Just making sure they're all about the same. Ah, there, that's done. Now we can put the dust chip collection back on. Alright, now we're ready for a test. We're going to go ahead and plane this. It is maple, I think, big leaf maple. And it's got some figure through here, which will give us a decent look at how sharp the blades actually are. we did okay with the figure. We got a little tear out right there, and a little tear about here, here, and that knot. We also have some tear out there, but I think that's just going against the grain. I don't feel any. There's one right there. You can't see it, but there's a line. One of the chips in the blades. Like I said, this never was perfect. It was never going to bring them back to new. It's more like you're honing the edge on a disposable razor. It's enough to get you back in the game, especially if you have some crappy wood to cut. These blades here, this is their last merry-go-round. When they get bad again, they're going to have to be replaced. Of course, I got to flip them first.